Sometimes the things that we perceive to be an attack from the enemy are really from God. Many times in the church, we will perceive something that's uncomfortable or something that comes through someone that makes us feel uncomfortable as an attack from the enemy. And if we're jarred by it, if we're disturbed by it, we will automatically assume that we're under some sort of spiritual attack. And sometimes that's true. I mean, we know that we have a very real enemy who prowls around like a lion looking for who he can devour. But also, many times, God will use difficult situations and people to grow us. Many times, God is actually allowing these things to grow us, to test our faith, to restore relationships, to allow us to be used to bring someone difficult to the kingdom of God through our lives, through how we respond to that difficult person or situation. So it's not always a spiritual attack, and it's not always something to be prayed away. We must discern the source. Discern the source. Pray, what is the source of this situation? I mean, if you look at the lives of like Job and Joseph, two prime examples of people in the Bible whose lives were radically wrecked in many ways by outside people, right? By the enemy. But God allowed it. And we know that in Genesis 50:20, it says that what the enemy meant for harm, God turned for good for the saving of many lives. So God allowed those things to happen. And we know that in the life of Job, we know that God and the devil had this bet that Job would not give up his faith in God, that it was not just because God did things or blessed Job, that Job loved God. And so that was tested and God allowed it. So I just want to encourage you today to look for the source of the trial you're going through. And whether it's from the Lord or from the enemy himself, we must walk by the Spirit. We must walk by the Spirit. That is how we destroy the works of the enemy. We walk in obedience to the best of our ability, aiming our heart to be obedient to our God. We walk, not gratifying the desires of the flesh. And in these difficult situations, our flesh can really rise up and want to get the best of us. We can really act in rebellion and retaliation and react instead of respond. When we respond, it's more that we're thinking, we're praying like, Lord, how do you want me to respond? And we're waiting for him to show us and give us the strength and the fortitude and the peace to respond as Jesus would. So these can be great opportunities for spiritual growth. And also sometimes God will call us, Jesus will call us to pour our lives out, to lead other people to Christ. And so that may mean sacrificing ourselves in a relationship. And I'm not saying that we should allow ourselves to be abused. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying sometimes I think we go too far with boundaries. We have so many boundaries that we have like these locks on our heart. We have these walls around our heart that nothing's going to get through. We're going to protect ourselves no matter what. But we have to be careful of that as Christians. Yes, we should have healthy boundaries. And I'm not going to tell you what boundary that should look like, because we've all got to learn to guard our hearts, and every situation is different. But guarding our heart is not barricading our heart, right? And so discern the source. What is Jesus asking you to do? Is he asking you to lay your life down a little bit as he did for you? Is he asking you to really look inward and grow and trust him? Because these trials can be great opportunities to learn to trust God, right? We know in James chapter 1, it says, count it all joy anytime you go through trials of any kind, right? Because that produces fruit in us, the fruit of perseverance, the fruit of trust, the fruit of peace, the fruit of spiritual growth. That, we are perfected as we persevere. So it's just important to remember that not everything that comes across your way, not everything that's jarring is from the enemy. Sometimes it's from God himself, and what he's called you to, he will get you through. Just keep your eyes on Jesus.